Society, celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. The Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Well, here we are, Zach. Been a while since we've heard that music play, but it's playing
nostalgia.
again. Yeah, it's playing again, just like we like. Welcome back. All right, guys. This is the Reading List podcast, brought to you by the poets of the Quill and Parchment Society. You know, we started last year with this small group and started making our way, and it's grown and it's evolved. Some of the changes have been forced upon us that have been good changes. We run this podcast, and it's me and my friend Zach Sneller, who hosts with me here. Zach, can you tell the people where they can find us?
Sure. You can find us all, the Quill and Parchment Society, on the website thequillandparchmentsociety.riverside.com, or you could also find us on our YouTube channel, The Reading List by the Quill and Parchment Society.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are new things that Zach and I are very excited about, because in the break between season 1 and season 2, a whole lot has changed. And most of it is positive. So this is season 2, episode 1 of the Reading List podcast, brought to you by the Quill and Parchment Society. I'm so
Season
excited.
2. That's exciting.
We've been, Zach and I have been so worked up about this, ready to go, and worked up in the best way. So for those of you that don't know us, that are new to us as a podcast, what we do here is we read poetry that is original poetry written by the members of our group, the Quill and Parchment Society. We're about 50 members strong right now. It's an eclectic group, so you never know what you're going to hear. And Zach and I read all that poetry, cold read the poetry that is submitted to our reading list and analyze it and stuff like that. And we never know what we're going to read till we actually start reading it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to do that. We want to share our emotions and our reactions. You know, sometimes it takes Zach and I both to get the meaning of the poem, and sometimes, you know, we may not be exactly accurate, but the beauty of it is this is artistic, and we love it, and we hope you do as well. And our poets are,
They
they're
bring it every
strong, aren't
time,
they,
man.
Zach?
Yeah, they bring
Yes,
a
they're
range.
strong. So this being season 2 episode 1, we're going to start out by introducing our newest poet of the month. Okay, this is something we do. It's somebody from our group. Every month we introduce a new poet of the month, and we highlight them and their work. July's poet of the month is a little bittersweet for us because it is a friend of ours, Apache, that has passed, Shamala. And, you know, this is her birthday month. She would have been 50. Um, but we wanted to highlight her as a poet because even after the artist is gone, the art lives on. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to read this little bit of an intro, and then Zach's going to read a poem submitted by Shamala that is on the front page of our group. It's one of her works. Uh, so the intro is July's poet of the month is Shamala. We have honored our fallen Parchi with this award in the month of her birth. We have posted a poem from her library on the group page with the Poet of the Month plaque. Please give this delightful sonnet a read when you can. Here is the link. And now Zach's going to read this for us.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, Zach, feel free.
The Tragedy of Love in 24 Minutes. A Mayfly Sonnet. Shall I propose before I hatch my wings, or just seduce you near that dead raccoon? The sun is high. We must do mating things. I've minutes left. Are you free this afternoon? Should I adore you with a mid-air dance, or bumble through your legs, all pollen drunk? I wrote you poems on a leaf by chance, but it blew off. Now I just feel debunked. Should I be deep, or not get eaten yet? My uncle died mid-moan by snapping trout. I swore I'd loud you, that though we just barely met. I'm fairly sure my thorax just fell out. Still, I'd rather burst in flaming bliss than live to age 2 hours and never kiss. End poem.
Now, see, the humor of this to me is the urgency to mate, the urgency to procreate and reproduce, because a mayfly, I believe, is, if not the shortest lived uh, creature on the planet that reproduces sexually. But if it's not the shortest lived, it's close to it. So, so there's this urgency. A mayfly is birthed and matures so quickly to reproductive age, and this piece captures that urgency so well in my mind and turns it into humorous as well, because this mayfly's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I gotta find somebody, I gotta find somebody. And meanwhile his body's deteriorating, so he goes from eating, you know, and he's thinking like the dead raccoon is a treat. Should I hang around that and find some lady mayflies over there? You know, and it's kind of neat. And then he talks about his uncle, and then also, as well as that, thorax. Thorax just fell out. Like he's a zombie. So the beauty of this, in my mind, is how it captures the urgency and still tries to be romantic. It's like tongue-in-cheek romantic, and it is absolutely adorable. I love this piece, and it's well thought out. It's one of my favorites. I laugh every time I read it. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, despite like for a poem to be about like it was about like sexual urges, but about like it done so in a tasteful way that was not like vulgar or over the top. It was way more like romantic and cute than I would have thought otherwise something like this to be about. But it was just in a great sort of way, kind of whimsical, and I really enjoyed how this how kind of love struck this character was in a way, love struck, whatever. Um, and just sees with this kind of this desire all the way through, and it's kind of tragic in a way also. That it's kind of lived that way, and perhaps like not find a mate because the life being so short. I think maybe that's the paradox of being a mayfly in a way, and I think that um, our poet of the month definitely captures that. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed this.
the urgency just cracks me
Right.
up. The urgency. Oh my god! Oh my god! So and to do it, it's a mayfly's sonnet.
Hmm.
And to do that, in a sonnet which is notoriously a love poem about love, it just cracks me up. I love it. I absolutely have thought this is a great piece for a very long time, and that's why I was really happy to post it on the board. Again, all you Parchies, you can find that if you want to read that one yourself. You can find that link on our homepage there by the Poet of the Month plaque. So we're going to move on from there and into something, and I'm just going to read what I typed here because it's easier that way. I would like to read a poem that was written by our own Way Down Up on Joy. This piece was shared with me a couple weeks back, and I felt like it was the most wonderful way to announce Shamala as Poet of the Month for July, along with reading Shamala's poem itself. So I'm going to read, this is the author's notes. Prompt I chose, Let Summer Say by Shamala. Okay. So what Way Down Up on Joy did was started a poem based off of one of Shamala's poem and wrote a new piece. So it says, poem to Shamala using the first four of her poem, Let Summer Say, and elaborating. So she's expounding on Shamala's poem. My poem is 40 lines long and cites the four by Shamala at each ending verse. The glossa is a poetic form with Spanish origins from the 15th century. A glossa typically consists of 4 10-line stanzas, each with 10 syllables per line. The form also contains a borrowed excerpt from another writer. The borrowed quatrain, known as the cabeza or head, is presented at the beginning of the poem. Following this, each stanza expands upon one line of the cabeza while generally adhering to the rhyme scheme of A, B, B, A, A, C, C, D, D, C. So this is a new form. This is a form I had never ran into yet, and there seems to be a lot of rules. And I'm not worried so much about the rules, but let's see how it reads. So I'm going to give this one a read, Zach. It is The Seasons of Satisfaction, glossa form, Shamala. Let Summer Say by Shamala. The summer doesn't ask who loves, it only opens skies above. It paints the days in golden flame and never once inquires your name. The seasons of satisfaction. The winter sun reminds us all that warmth is found where we exist. It's in the way we choose life kissed. By those who know love's silent call, it shares the wherewithal like doves. With peacefulness that wears soft gloves and lends itself to share that grace. Between the lovers we embrace. The summer doesn't ask who loves. Let springtime wake with brand new air and show us all what heaven sent, reminding us to supplement each breath we breathe with loving prayer for those that came to share what's fair, and not to judge the ones thereof who miss the bliss of how to love. It's all about our true regard for what we do and who we are. And it only opens skies above. When summer's warmth wakes welcome worth, we rise to all those fairer skies. And don't pretend to compromise. We share with all who share self-worth, because we know it brings rebirth. And poets share whatever they claim as reason to rejoice, proclaim. If nights share stars and moons we see, we're left to note sun's mystery. It paints the days in golden flame. And now we come to autumn's scenes, the one we cannot know what's next. It seems we're left to feel perplexed, and yet we sense with wondrous dreams. To everything a purpose gleams, and there's no doubt this one we claim. A poet left us all the same, yet with that going, she's not gone. Her presence always flowing on, and never once inquires your name in poem. You there, Zach?
Yeah. Oh,
That one's pretty
yeah.
heavy, isn't it?
That's a good
That's
one,
a
yeah.
beautiful piece. I'm glad I read that. I'm glad I read that here. What are your thoughts on that one, Zach?
I really enjoyed how this piece refers to cycles, um, like like the cycles of seasons. First and foremost, the temporariness of each cycle. Like we have the winter sun. It seems so peaceful, and then spring with its like brand new sort of air. As in the first line, it says that, and brings to mind like rebirth um, and summer. Summer, I like the how I mean, it just seems like everything is kind of mysterious and like touched by heat in a way, but like literal heat in a sense, like gold and flame. So it kind of is. It's just kind of brings to mind like a physical transformation, and then autumn kind of brings sort of remembrance that the poet involved that's being honored is not gone, but still eternal in a way, just like the seasons, and just like the way the the seasons become like a cycle. But in the sense that I think that the spirit of the poet who's being honored is always there in a sense too, like just like the seasons are in a way that she's become like them in a sense. That makes sense.
It does. It totally makes sense, Zach. And I thought the same thing. I thought, well, this piece absolutely beautifully incorporates, and I didn't know this, but this piece beautifully incorporates what we're doing when we celebrate an artist that is no longer with us. And in any respect, their art still survives. It's like the seasons. And that's what I got out of this. It's like the seasons in the fact that they're always there. They're always in your memory. They're always there. They just change and evolve, but they come back around. So this, being gone from this plane is just really, in my opinion, what I get from it is gone from this plane is just movement to the next. That, and that's kind of how I see it. It's the next season, So this is a beautiful piece that really I felt touched on the cycles that we're all part of, and they're all around us all the time. Oh, here we go, Zach. We're doing it now. We're back in it.
Right.
It feels real again, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does. It's the real deal for sure.
Now, guys, we've only read 2 pieces so far, but I promise you, audience, here, this is what we get. This is the kind of stuff we get to read and enjoy and share. So hopefully you're along for the ride, and you enjoy what you're hearing and you like and comment, you can again follow us, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and then go to our website. You can go there and be a part of that. You can subscribe to our newsletter, see what we're up to, because we'll start posting a newsletter fairly often. Just found out we could do that, Zach, and I shared that with you, and that's going to be big for our group as far as a communication channel, and help us keep producing these excellent episodes of original poetry. And Zach and I are so honored to share it. So without anything else, Zach, I have no more ados so far. You ready to start the meat of the show?
Oh,
Get
absolutely.
to reading?
Yes. First up, we have Mario, a 3 O's piece. And that's Crowned and Pathetic. The bandits had breached the walls. I feared the stones were weak and built too steep. Our guards fell to the bandits, as weak, even after I gave them sticks. I fear the commander did not teach them well after all. My grand door fell the moment they laid hands upon it. I fear the craftsmen were no crafty after all. The bandits spared me, and I happily wore my crown. I fear there is no skulls left to praise the victors I've shown. Don't bother me as if I'd faltered. The feared were weak to defend thy walls, and pathetic to even praise their lord. Lord, Lord, I fear are feared. I've turned against our own, and they are armed with sharpies, sharper than your sticks. And
So, I've actually read and commented on this before, but I didn't know I had, because I was listening to it, reading along, and I, lo and behold, look down there, and I'll be darned, there I am, commented on this piece. So this has been on our reading list for a while, but it made me giggle, because to me, this sounded like, I equated it to thoughts, that are coming into your head, and as a person who is struggling with these thoughts, whether they're, bad thoughts of one way or another, they're breaching the walls, and he's putting up a great fight. And I love the medieval kind of notion of this. And then Lord, Lord, crying out and all that, because of not futility, but I think heat of the battle kind of thing, because the battle's still ongoing. And I find it interesting because it references in the title, it says crowned and pathetic, two completely different opposite ends of the spectrum in negative and positive, because if you're crowned, that means you're the king or queen or whatever, you're very important. And if you're pathetic, are you getting overrun as king or queen and all that stuff? And there's a lot of different lessons that can be drawn from that. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I thought this was an interesting piece. I like how I think this was told from the perspective of like a monarch of some sort. I feel like this monarch owns the castle, and maybe it's like a metaphor for someone's being overrun with thoughts. I think you mentioned something similar, Bill, to how like these thoughts are kind of like overwhelming the speaker in a way, to the point of like battling, like laying siege to the speaker in a sense. And I feel like the speaker is having a trouble fending off all of these thoughts, and it's like almost like humorous too. There's like this kind of the silliness about it. I can't escape. Yeah, there's some silliness I just can't escape. Like, I don't know why I'm feeling that way, but I in a good way. I kind of like that. I don't really take it too seriously because of that, despite this feeling of being overwhelmed. And generally, I don't like that feeling. But this is kind of nice in a sense that that it's not happening to me, and it's kind of like funny in a way.
Right. You know the old saying, heavy is the head.
Right. Oh yeah. Where's the crown? Absolutely.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
It's a great write. Mario always
I like
brings it.
that
Our
one.
group, Zach,
Yeah.
we're so blessed, aren't we?
Mhm.
What do we got next?
Oh, next up, we have Postcards I'll Never Send by Purple Drip.
Oh, okay. Purple Gerbera. I'm writing from a place that's nothing like Roman holiday. No sunny days of Santorini, aurora evenings of Norway, silent valleys of Kashmir, or dazzling lights of Broadway, and even no places like Udaipur to remember any history. It's a dark place that gets cold, lonely, and scary. But I did put myself here, and I don't wish to be found, though I know on some nights I'll regret not having you around. I do miss you. It's hard not to. So I pretend like everything's fine, as if we aren't at opposite ends. So I write to you over and over in postcards I'll never send. Maybe this one will also go straight into the trash or addressed to the fire, turning to ash. So here's another postcard, another set of words that never end. 1,000 miles from where you are, still writing as if this might send. End poem. What are your thoughts, Zach?
This was another heavy one. This one, the place where the speaker is writing from is like purposefully devoid of light. This place is just absent of any kind of any light, because it's like no natural light, no artificial light, just darkness. And that's a scary place. And what's even more scary is that it's created by the self in a way. The speaker acknowledges that, at least, but it's still scary. And the way that the postcard, this is a postcard meant for someone who won't read the postcard, but at least it won't be thrown away either, because it's being written, and you're reading it. And there's still an audience for this kind of for this postcard. But I still like I was just struck by the you just seemed like a person worth missing too. And that there's like a sadness to that. And I just that felt heavy because of it.
So obviously, Zach, I agree. The feeling of separation and the heaviness of it is clear and present. I mean, it shows right from the beginning, going through uh, different places, that are in the writer's imagination, and they're talking about a person who has gone out of their life one way or another, but they're imagining that this person is so many places, and they want to send these postcards to them. And there's like I don't know, there's a feeling of longing. But then I thought about it too, and is this person just literally talking about places they'll never see? But then there's hints later on down, the dark place and the sadness and stuff like that. And there's a real serious um, depression to it, sadness, darkness that just gets hold of you and takes you through the whole thing. So it has to be missing somebody, and they'll never send the postcard, so there's no chance of reconnection. So it's so sad in that respect, but also beautiful in the way that it's so emotional. So it was definitely very well written and well expressed, because it made me feel sad. As I was reading it, it made me feel sad. I was like, oh boy, they're really knocking us down here, aren't they? Oh, so what do we have next, Zach?
All right. Next
You
up,
ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
We have T.S. JoJo's piece, and that's "The Room Kept Its Booking." I'll give that a read.
So this is the gentleman I know as John, and we've got
John,
several of our newest members have contributed here, and they're active, and I'm excited to get to know them as we read them. Zach, please go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, not at all. It's all good. You ended it in August, and the room kept its booking. The bed was made too tightly, sheets tucked hard under the mattress. I stood there with the kettle on, doing our pretense badly. Too much water, not enough flame. The great smell of last night's smoke, damp kindling, and the small brass shovel. I lifted it once. Black dust, a burnt match, a twist of peel, no reason for the peel. That was the worst thing, the peel. Small, orange, with one bright edge still refusing the soot. I put it back. I shut the fire guard too hard. In the garden, the table stayed out. Breadboard, knife, the blue plate with the crack through it. The cheese had sweated under the cloth. The butter softened. A fly kept coming back to the jam as the sweetness had survived us. You would have laughed. In the guest book, your married name carried on as if the hand were only late. Lovely fire, good bread, quiet room. Thank you. Milk. Last word was milk. Nothing holy about it, just milk. Leaning right, the K gone thin, where the pen was running out. I took the book inside. When I found it, there was a receipt pressed flat between September and October. I touched it and made it worse. That is mostly what I do now. I buy brie because you like brie, and then I let it fur in the fridge. The house does not care. Dust comes back on the mantel. Ash settles behind the basket. Something small has nested in the chimney. At night, I hear it shift and think for half a second you are turning in the next room, then not. Then the whole house goes very ordinary again. In March, I found the hamper list in the biscuit tin: sourdough, cheddar, thick cream. Your thumbprint dark on the paper, ash or butter, I do not know. I bought nothing. I held the list until the corner softened. Outside, the garden table was waiting, not kindly, but cruelly, just wet, open, except for two, ready for whatever could still be pretended. End poem.
I'm going to read Joe's author's notes. I think they're important here.
Sure.
But that was a good read, by the way, Zach. I like the way you read that. This poem treats the guest book as an accidental journal, a public record of a love that could only exist in borrowed rooms. There is no grand revelation, only the life two people made in fragments: bread, milk, ash, peel, a cracked plate, a thumbprint. The ordinary things become evidence. Afterward, the room keeps their appointment, the handwriting keeps speaking, and the table remains set for whatever can still be pretended. So that's very enlightening to me, because I thought this was specifically written for or about one person, but it's not. It's written as an observation in the room that two people have the different views of the same room, and what it means to them. And there's a sadness to this. This is a very heavy and sad piece. As you were reading it, Zach, I was like, oh man, this cat's
Yeah.
lonely. There's some loneliness here, and I felt that, in the piece, and the author's notes really reiterated it. It's very powerful, and I like the way it was written in those short, concise lines that hit you hard, gut punch you over and over again, like rabbit punches. Just, and then the build up of all those small punches at the end. You're like, oh Lord, this is terribly heavy. So I love the way Jojo used this form to amplify the emotion, and he used it very well, because the way you read it, Zach, it read, I think, very closely to the way he intended it to be read. You read through it very nicely, and it did add to the emotion. What were your thoughts as you were reading it? I'm more curious about that than my thoughts as I was listening.
Oh wow. Yeah, this one was yeah, emotional in a sense that I felt like there was a real, like, almost like these objects in this room had a real presence to them that was like almost larger than life. in a sense that they were almost like personified as living in a way. I don't know. It was just like not only that, but like there were also these like kind of these uh, really human ways they evolved, like the cheese in the refrigerator growing fur, and there's just like this real like sense of unsatisfaction to the piece, like the orange peel, not being like or this very presence of it. It's just like no one cleaned it up and it's there, and um, that would kind of annoy me too. Um, I guess it's like the one thing that's out of place. And I feel like a similar compulsion, and there's like this series of just images. It's very specific too. It's just the way it kind of evolves, and it just there's a real absence too, because you get like a sense that things are being done or like in this room, but they're not being done anymore. Maybe the people have changed, or like maybe they're gone in some sense, and it's definitely heavy. Um, and Yeah, because in a sense you're definitely aware of like this absence of people, and it's just things being done in a way that like it's kind of almost reminiscent of like a memory that was kind of melancholy. Yeah, that's what I felt.
I think the omissions, the things that were missing in this piece that made you wonder, what was going on, actually added to the sadness, the emotion, the
Yeah.
overall emotion of the piece. Because it doesn't say whether it's somebody's mom or, a wife or, a romance or anything like that. It doesn't specifically say that. It just makes you feel sad.
Hmm.
So well
Um,
done. Jojo jerking us around on a string there, making us feel sad. Let's see, what do we got now, Zach? What's next?
next up we have Pac-Man's piece.
A field to know, that's mine to read, correct?
Yes.
I kind of got lost in that poem, so I needed to
Yeah, me
ask,
too. You
make
gotta
sure we
like have a
agree.
moment. I know what
It
you
was,
mean.
it was my piece to read. So,
Yeah.
A Field I Know by Pac-Man. Feathery wisps that fall to ground. This winter's day without a sound. No wind to lift the leaves now browned, or gathered thus in playful mound. Quiet remains as the temperature drops, remanded to silos the summer's crops. Wafts of smoke from chimney tops, trees and branches stilled in copse. The sun rides low, still westward bound, as a ship that longs to run aground. By night snow blankets all around, as stars imprint the black background. The moon gives chase as it arcs the sky, giving predators view in the valley nearby. Prey thus snared offer brief outcry. Echoes repeat in mournful reply. The night air is crisp, still and clear. The snow owl's call has touched my ear. Signs abound of wolf and deer, reveals to all deep winter's near. The trees are stilled in soundless relax, as though in fear the woodman's axe. A cord of logs set to dry in stacks, for warmth upon hearth as it sparks and cracks. Here I stood, though long ago, this hilltop o'er the lush meadow. A familiar scene, the trees and snow. Drawn am I to this field I know. A childhood wonder of years ago, of friends and siblings with cheeks aglow, of snowball fights and men of snow, pray calling to youth and not outgrow. Returneth again, if I'm permitted, to the land and its soil I've benefited. To its forest and hills I remain committed, until of life's breath I'll be acquitted. And thus I shall lay on this hilltop high, overlooking meadows golden rye, as summer branches embrace the sky, or winter winds again grow nigh. End poem. Ooh. Go, Zach. Let's hear your thoughts.
Mm, yeah, I like this one. This one was neat. This was like kind of like uh, another like it's a different kind of poem about the cycles of seasons in a way, taking
We're
place
on
on.
season cycles,
Yeah, we're
aren't
on
we?
season. Yeah, here we go. This field that like the speakers in, or this meadow, like this, it, it has a real presence to it, a real character. And there's like at first when it's winter, there's like a sadness to it, almost like a stillness without the wind or the leaves. It's real emptiness, and I like how there's like the night cycle too with the nocturnal sounds and uh, um, like birds and stuff like that, and the wolf and the deer. I like that how it adds to the night, and the speaker's very familiar with this meadow, um, and I like how uh, as sort of as he remembers it, it kind of harkens back to his youth, and how that kind of is synonymous with nature in a way, and I like that a lot. And uh, there's like a sort of like in a way like a wanting to return to nature, and I really like that too. Really enjoyed this piece.
I did too, Zach. Reading it, it was just like each stanza brought some new point or descriptor in, and the rhyme was sublime. It really was. The rhyme was so wonderful to read, and we've read enough of Pac-Man to know he writes in very very descriptive ways. Um, Everything that he is writing is solid and well described and all of that. And this is no different because it was taking me to a scene that is probably most likely a memory of when he was a kid, or an amalgamation of memories of a place where he grew up. But there is definitely a nostalgia and a love for this place because it's very clear, and it is painting a beautiful scene with words, a beautiful scene. And it sounds like, through the piece, all he wanted was to be there, just to be there. And whether it's, having it in your memory is the second best thing to actually being able to go there and see that. So, if this in fact is where he grew up, it is a beautiful description of where he grew up and how. Lovely piece. We ready to move on, Zach? What do we got next?
All right. Next up, we have Deborah Leo Five's piece, and that's In Your Pocket. What is left of me lingers with you. A second heartbeat tucked into the folds of your coat. Quiet, persistent, unspoken thread. I watched you leave. Watched the door breathe shut. Your shadow trailing behind. A ribbon caught in the wind. Your absence is everywhere. Phantom hand brushing mine. And yet, I am here unbroken. There you are, unrooted. You don't need to look back to know I am already there, nestled in your pocket. My heart pressing love like a letter against your chest. End poem.
So I looked at, and I'm looking at the picture that's attached to this.
Mm.
It says "In Your Pocket," and there's a little fuzzy heart glowing gold and shiny in there. So this is obviously a poem about love, but it doesn't seem like it's a romantic. It's more of a uh, someone missing. And it says, "Oh, I really like that." In the author's note, love is a second heartbeat you didn't know you packed. So this is a general poem about love, not a specific love, the love you carry around for everyone, that you carry in your heart, and it kind of fuels your soul. I like that. I love that that's what this means, that it's not directed necessarily to one person, but it's more about feeling that love and keeping it with you all the time, because that'll get you through a lot of things. It'll get you through your day, get you back home, all that stuff, because you look forward to it. You carry that It's part of what makes home home, is feeling that love when you get back there, because it's always there. And that's what you equate to love, but it can travel with you in your pocket. You just have to keep it there. Reminds me of a song by uh, the Blues Travelers. The mountain wins again. The mountains win again. And it starts out, I picked up my smile, put it in my pocket. So it's kind of neat, in that respect, because that's what I equate it to, because you carry around all this love and it keeps you happy and focused and all that and gets you back home. It's the strength within you. Go ahead, Zach. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I mean, the two lines that kind of sum it up for me the most are, "You don't need to look back to know I am already there." That kind of has that feeling of
Mm-hmm.
somebody staying with you, no matter like where they could be. They're always there with you, guiding you in some way. That presence is very that there's like a familiarity there. Um, that I feel like that kind of closeness is very rare too, in a way. But there's like a fondness too with this, and like a remembrance, and it was almost melancholy at first, but then I kind of, because I mean, the way like it explained, there's like a sense of leaving and a sense of absence, but in the absence, there's actually um, kind of like a presence of that the sense that it's everywhere, that the love is everywhere, that there's like there could be so much of something, um, even when it's like even when someone's alone, they could like still have this much love in a sense. I feel like that despite um, like not feeling it tangibly, it's still there, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like that.
I love the I know it says that the love is in your pocket, but it also feels omnipresent. It's everywhere.
Right.
It's all around you, and that's a wonderful thing. We all need to feel that and remember that, because even in your worst days, the love's still there. You just aren't seeing it. What do we got next, Zach?
Next up, we have Vectis Man's Piece in that series.
And that's it. Vectis Man is another one of our newer Parchies, so we're getting to know him too, and he's a great writer as
It's
well.
a new one for me. Yeah.
You have not experienced any reading of Vectis Man yet, because he
Not
came in
yet.
fairly late on season one, so we
Mhm.
may have only gotten one poem of his to read. But yeah,
Okay.
it's fascinating. So this is a treat for you as well, Zach.
Right.
Fantastic. Incredible life-giving force. Breathing. Breathing benefits heart and mind. Deeper breaths means a longer life. When we control our breath, we find that we gain control over ourselves. Breathing techniques make one's respiratory organs stronger. You gain control of your breathing, you gain control of your life, until eventually you will find your circulatory system. Your parasympathetic and your immune systems may improve. After a deep breath, I feel calmer, relaxed, energized, aware of self. In many cases, obtain a connection in the form of spiritual awakening. Life starts and ends with a breath, an invisible thread we carry throughout our entire existence. In poem. Want to read the author's notes, Zach, before you comment?
Sure. Word count in author's notes, 100 words. Um, I want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then release it slowly. After, I want you to write how that made you feel. Did you feel a weight lift off your busy day? Did you feel calm? Did you feel relaxed? Did you feel no difference as your thoughts would not stop? These are some examples. So this is something that the speaker felt, or the poet felt, as they were breathing.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's very step by step in a way, like very like it starts has like a start and like an end point. and I like how meditative it was, and how like um, there are all sorts of benefits as described by breathing for the speaker, and it's very motivating too. I've really enjoyed that most about it at all. Like the motivational aspect of it, I think like it feels like this could be attained by not just the speaker, but maybe by the audience in a way of like to kind of improve themselves, like through breathing. I feel like that's in a very sort of efficient way to do so, to kind of uh, at least hopefully have more control over ourselves. It's sort of like a um, through meditation and breathing in a way. I kind of I like how the speaker uses breathing as a means for self improvement, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's funny because breathing is one of those things that happen without thought, but you can control with thought. You can control, it's a lot harder to control your heart rate with thought, even though you can. You can actually calm yourself, calm your heart rate, but you use breathing techniques to do that. And it can help you clear your mind. The meditative, like you said, Zach, clearly this is about focus and meditation and learning to say, all right, let's relax. And that being a big step, and that big draw of breath, that exhale when you do that, it's the exhale really that makes it all happen. Obviously you got to inhale first, but you inhale real deep, and then when you exhale, it's like everything just falls off you and goes away, is the idea. And it's what it's describing, and it's very meditative, and it has some great health benefits to your heart and to your overall well-being, and just general quality of life goes up. Meditation is a wonderful thing, but then there's another side of it too, because if you meditate too long, then it becomes a negative thing. But this is about actually focusing and breathing and calming yourself, and the benefits of that when you need it. Some people come home and they have two fingers of scotch or something like that, and that's how they relax. Well, that can turn into unhealthy. If you have, two deep breaths, that's never unhealthy, even if it leads to eight deep breaths. But other things can be unhealthy. So this is really good sound advice for simple things that you can do. And I like that there was a contest for this, because it was inviting everybody to think about, simple meditation and breathing exercises to calm and make your life better. So it was well done and well received. Uh, let's see, what do we got next, Zach? Oh, I know, it's you.
Oh. Next up is yeah.
It's funny.
my
I
piece.
I
Yeah.
just looked and I was like, oh, it's your piece. Let's have it.
Right. This is Lunar Ash.
Hey, I like that artwork, Zach. I just looked at it.
Thanks. Okay. All that roams below the sun's watchful glare, the centerfold of the day, we're born from it. Live our lives at the birth and death of light, as we roll death-like in sleep, face the cooler. Turn to the pale face of the moon stare, ashen craters full of dust of generations. Bask in rays of the celestial lady's glow. Dark flowers bloom, coated in dripping dew. Petals, the color of reddened flesh bled white. Their lifespans released one fragrant night, while preening jackdaws cut the scented trails, resting on the mirror surface of a still lake. Wavers and fades, silver beams, shining rays. We teeter on edge. Waves call us from the deep, like trees soaking up light. Bare branches beg, gritty handfuls claws from saturated skies. Likewise, yawning trenches yearn to fill with water. Empty spaces dream of filling up. We launch, cast up to stars, cast down to ground. Action life, granted to all, after settling west. Everyone their own beautiful setting sun. We burn on in a bleeding world. Death snuffs all light, dropping like flies from this bloated corpse of a rock. into a steaming ocean. Fiery pebbles rain on us, disintegrating until I'm born again in your arms. My secret longing kept me from leaving you, leaving our world cleaved in violent cycle, complicated beginnings with explosive endings, and all the knitted twine in between the vines, frayed strands at both ends of binding chains. End poem.
Hmm. So that's interesting, Zach, because I seen this when I first started listening to you read it as I was reading along. Hey Zach,
Yeah, yeah.
I, is there a fan or something on? Because I got some
Oh,
feedback on
I
your end
think
there.
there might be. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll turn
I,
that
it
off. Just a
it
second.
just it came on right when uh, uh, I was started talking, and I didn't know if you heard it or not in the back. Sorry about that, but
Any better?
uh, yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
As this was being read, as you read it, I was listening to it, and I was like, oh. This is kind of it has like a sweetness to it and a real I don't know. It was like a soft tragedy, honestly, is what it felt like. It felt very softly tragic because of some of the descriptors, and obviously with the image that you created, the man laying on his back looking up at the sun, and he's having all these thoughts, but it looks like with the representation of the red going upwards, those thoughts are heading somewhere and they're just constant and continuous. But then I went down and read your author's notes. Do you mind if I read them real quick?
Oh, not at all.
It says meant to represent different kinds of earthly cycles on the eve of an apocalyptic event. Image mine, Zachary Sneller. So it had this feel of like not urgency, more like it was just like inevitability. You know it's going to happen. This is going to happen. So it makes sense when you describe in your author's note that it's on the eve of an apocalyptic event, and all these thoughts are going through the narrator's head, the person talking, the subject of the piece. All these thoughts are going through their head, but there's no panic. They're just like, well, it's going to happen regardless. So I'm just going to hang out here and be surrounded by my thoughts. So that's what I got out of it. But it was very powerful in that way because it was kind of a subtle tragedy, I think. It is kind of the way I took it. So please, Zach, tell me your thoughts on what you wrote.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Like the way you said the inevitability of the apocalyptic feelings. Like there's just like a general acceptance there that these cycles are like begin and end, and this one's at the end of the world basically, and there's like an acceptance, and there's an acceptance that there's going to be a kind of like new beginning. So I kind of wanted to describe that in a way that sounded eh, poetic for whatever reason, and I hope that some of those more visual things about the apocalypse blending in with like the cycles of like darkness and light, life and death. Like I tried to like really intersect all of those somehow, and I succeeded.
I would say you did, Zach, because you softened the harshness and harshened the softness. I
Hmm.
mean, and that's what you're trying to do. It's almost I would equate it to blending color to a visual artist. You're kind of blending that to where it has an overall feel, but it dips its toe in sadness and dips its toe in philosophical nature. All of
Hmm.
that. So you did very well. You traveled all over the place very successfully. Sorry, Zach, I've got the hiccups
Awesome.
all of a sudden.
No,
I
no.
apologize. But your piece was wonderful and well read. So I'm glad I got the gist of it too, because you
Pretty
always
good.
worry, when you're commenting on somebody's piece, you always worry that you don't quite catch the meaning of it, but it's always good when the writer is also the reader and they can tell you, hey, guess what? This is what I was writing. And you go, oh,
No, you
but I,
definitely
I
got it,
did
man.
get it. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So now what do we have, Zach, if we're ready to move on?
Okay. Next up we have Raiden Asuka Vijaya's piece. That's your read.
And this is another very new Parchi to us. I think this may be the second piece we've read from him because he joined in fairly late last year. This is The Miracle I Called Normal by Raiden Axka Ouija. And I may have got the name wrong. I apologize if I did. But I spent my days counting what was gone, never seeing what I had all along. When life grew dark and filled with pain, I questioned God again and again. But then I looked beyond my own view and saw what so many others go through. Some cannot walk, some cannot stand, some cannot hold a loved one's hand. Yet here I am, breathing free, with healthy eyes that still can see, a beating heart, a steady way, gifts I overlooked every day. God, I said you gave me none, while quietly your work was done. The fault was not in what you gave, but in the gratitude I never gave. Now I cherish the life I get, instead of mourning every unmet wish. For sometimes the greatest blessing above is simply waking up alive and loved. End poem. Gorgeous.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, this one, I like the way it read. You did a fantastic read. It really, I mean, the rhyme made it like really, really have a certain cadence to it. And I like how there's like, well, I mean, the speaker really has to go through a kind of a darkness first, like there's like an inner conflict before they could really embrace what they have. And there's like a kind of a gratefulness, to what the speaker has, these God-given gifts essentially that the speaker questioned again or overlooked. I mean, and there's a real sense of change, like a real like a kind of accepting of um, like cherishing what the those God-given gifts are and living to use them to the fullest extent, and to really accept it as a blessing. Um, that the speaker has like a healthy set of eyes and heart and lungs, and these are good things. And yeah, I really like how it's just positive that way, and like really things to be thankful for. Really brings that to mind in a good way.
So the funny thing is, Zach, I want to put this out there before I comment. Who put this show together, the order of this show? You did, didn't you? And you had absolutely no idea, Zach, of
Right.
what poems were what, because as we say, we cold read these, meaning only the only ones that you and I have ever read before we read them live and react to them are our own pieces,
Mm-hmm.
most generally, unless they slide in one we've read several months back or whatever. But the fact that these poems come in one right after the other, A Field I Know by Pac-Man, talking about memories and stuff like that and that nostalgic beauty and all that. And then Deborah Lee's 05's In Your Pocket, talking about love you carry around. Vectus Man, talking about breathing. Your Lunar Ash, talking about meditating and contemplating as the world's ending. And then Raiden talking about his the blessings, that it's all kind of intertwined in a way, but it's just by coincidence that these guys, because this is the order they're put on our reading list and we read them this way, but the ups and downs and the highs and lows of the way these poets write their poems and we get to read them, it's that emotional roller coaster that we're on that is naturally just what our reading list is, and we're so grateful and thankful that we get to read this stuff. And I'm going to read Raiden's author's notes now, and it's quite obvious what this piece is, but I should read them anyway. A reflection on how easily we overlook life's simplest blessings. This poem is a reminder that good health, breath, and another day to live are gifts we often call normal until we truly learn to see them. That is absolutely true. You take them for granted. But as you get older, you age into it. That's what's happened to me. I look around all the time, and I think when I get to come home, I think the smells of home, the sights of home, and my wife, and waking up every day and just being happy to draw that first breath and say, you know what? I'm going to give it a go again today, regardless of, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's there, but you're excited because you get to be a part of whatever it is. That's the beauty and the appreciation of life, that it takes some time to really, really get to. And I think Raiden captured that beautifully here. It's a great piece, and it made me smile the whole way through. They drag us through the mud and then pick us up, don't they, Zach?
Every
That's what
time.
they do. Hey, okay, what do we got next?
Next up, we have Don Gonzaga's piece, and that's Fairweather Family.
Been a while since we've heard from Dawn, too, so I'm glad to get her back on the list.
All right. When I saw through your eyes at your true desired prize, the deception we shared between you and I, feeling all to feel clear and insight, counting my blessings each day and each night, you had nothing left. I spared all my breath. You reached in my chest, ripped out all the rest. I still could not conceive. It was all made believe. You're a piece of my family. Oh, what world it could be if I really saw you and you really saw me. Broke down your walls so you won't feel alone when I help build you up. Left on my own. You tasted happiness, stole from my bones, used all my body, built a new home. If I had to know you would leave me all alone, you never would have called this house your home. End poem.
Oh, man, that's a sad one.
Yeah.
So it says Fairweather Family, so this is not about a broken romance. This is about somebody leaving, it sounds like, before the child rearing was over and all that is what it sounded like to me based on the title and all that. And these, whoever it is, was there till the going got rough and then said, you know what, I'm out, take it easy, you guys are on your own. And that's a sad thing because, especially to a young adult or a child, we're dependent on our family for basically everything. It's where we learn everything that isn't nature. It's nurture. So you learn how to act and how to relate to other people and how to love and all that stuff. And if you get taught that it's unimportant and they can just leave at any moment, then you learn that and it's not good. But as you grow up, there will be something missing. And, there's things to work out. And writing them out, the cathartic part of poetry is what has drawn most of us here at some point in time. We had things on our mind that we needed to work out, and that's one of these things. So very good, Dawn. Keep writing, keep working it out, and it's a great piece. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I would hope this kind of write would be cathartic to write something like this after perhaps I mean, someone a significant other got up and left like that right in the middle of a relationship. Like, those feelings are pretty heavy. There's a real sense of like mourning what this could have, not just what it was, but really what it could have been. I mean, and also just this is just it's this sense of like deception too, but mostly sadness and loss. There's not really any anger to speak of. It's just really just kind of like this sense of being wounded, and it's like festering, and it's unfortunate. Just that sense of loneliness, like a real sense of being used too by the end of it. That this person took everything that they had to take, and it's just being left alone. And yeah, it's definitely healthy to write about those kinds of heavy feelings, if any of them exist, for the speaker. But it's just hard to hear them, honestly, because it's just so heavy. But that's what life is
Absolutely.
sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, uh, you know, it, you there's good and there's bad,
Mm.
and it all needs to be written. It all needs to be written out. And I like what you said there, Zach. There's a piece missing. There's a piece missing from the writer who's
Hmm.
saying, look, this has caused me a problem. So it was well written, well expressed, and a great read too. What do we got next, Zach?
Next up is your read, and that's Lowell's piece.
And it's titled
Two
"Bad
L's.
Girl Blues." I really wish we had a female voice to read this one. So I'm going to preface this by letting everybody know in the group. Lowell has been really, really doing a lot of stuff with Suno and creating tracks and writing songs. Now, unfortunately, we can't play Suno tracks on the air. We can only play MP3s, but there is a link to this as a Suno track. If you want to hear what Lowell did with it, you can go right there to Suno and play it. But I'm going to read it as best I can, and it's titled Bad Girl Blues. I see you searching over here. I know what's on your mind, but frankly, I don't give a damn. This girl ain't yours to find. So put your wedding ring back on before I slap your face and finish up that bourbon fast. You better leave this place. I've got a case of bad girl blues. You need to be aware. This woman takes no prisoners. Lord, say a little prayer. This girl's too good at being bad and bad at being good. The devil's guiding me tonight, much more than heaven could. I see you walking over here. Well, that's a big mistake. You need those legs to walk away. Too bad they're gonna ache. One night with me, and you will be begging for your life, screaming out for dear old Ma, and calling for your wife. I've got a case of bad girl blues. You need to be aware. This woman takes no prisoners. Two timers don't play fair. This girl's too good at being bad and bad at being good. But when it comes to men who stray, she's good at being good. See, Daddy was a sly old fox who broke my mama's heart, and I would watch my mama cry and slowly fall apart. I promised her the day she died that other men would pay, and so the bad girl blues took hold in search of those who stray. I've got a case of bad girl blues, and boy, you best beware. This woman takes no prisoners. You best not interfere. This girl's too good at being bad and bad at being good. When dealing with the cheating kind, she does just what she should. The devil's guiding me tonight, and I'm still watching you. This girl has got the bad girl blues. Be careful what you do. End poem. Go ahead, Zach. What are your thoughts?
I enjoyed this piece. This kind of evokes like some of the older blues songs that I've heard. Um, like I'm talking about like Big Mama Thornton, Muddy Waters, Howling Wolf, those kinds of guys. There's like a real like sort of that old school feeling, and like almost like like in the sense of being like in a bar, like just kind of like in a voyeuristic sense, and drinking, and there's a little bit of humor, but not too much. It's kind of like almost not self-deprecating, but more um like she takes no prisoners, and like she's out to break hearts because someone definitely broke her mom's heart in a way, so she's out to like in a sense she's like a femme fatale, um making other men pay. I feel like that's a central stanza. The day when it says that, the day she died, other men would pay. Um, I feel like that's like her origin. She reminds me of almost like not quite like a super villain, almost like a Bonnie without the Clyde, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, someone who's still like kind of got an edge to them for sure, because like a chip on her shoulder, in a way. Um,
I love the kind of there was like a little I don't know, like backyard superhero-ish kind of
a little bit
vibe
like a
to me.
villain, like a super
Yes.
villain story, like
Yes.
origin. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
like a
Yeah,
supervillain
totally.
origin story or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that because this woman is sitting at the bar and she's putting out vibes like, hey,
yeah.
available and this, that, and the other. And
But I'm not yours.
she's not really looking to find somebody, honestly. She's
Right.
on the hunt. She's
Hmm.
like an angler fish, she's putting it out there like, hey, I'm available, I'm available. And if somebody with a ring comes at her, she's going to make them pay.
Hmm.
And there's that vengeance and that anger underlying, but she's putting out this vibe of, hey, come hither, come on over here. And as he stands up and comes over there, she's thinking in her brain, boy, he's getting ready to pay a price. He's getting ready to pay a price. And he doesn't even know it. Like, he's presenting himself to her, and it's going to be a real problem. So I like the sense of empowerment and the vengeance and all of that, the hate and all of the emotion that's wrapped up in it, from the scarring of, like, Batman. Batman was Batman because of his parents being murdered in front of him and the bats scaring him. That's how he became. So this is why I kind of got that vibe from it. So it was well written in that way. I appreciated reading it. It did make me laugh a little bit too. Just a little. So what do we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Mine Rain's piece, and that's When Night Became Fluent. The butterfly mistook herself for unforgettable, simply because the garden kept turning towards her. I never corrected her. Some beauties survive easily in daylight. They are touched gently, spoken about fondly, carried through people's lives like pressed flowers inside unfinished books. The butterfly belonged to the easier species of love, the kind that arrives beautifully enough to make permanence feel unnecessary. Even the wind handled her carefully, as though the world understood that delicate things break quickest and decided in advance to forgive her for it. Meanwhile, I became fluid in darker habitats. A firefly does not bloom all at once. It appears slowly, a pulse moving through the underlanguage of night, small enough to overlook, until the darkness becomes personal. That is when people began looking for creatures like me, not during celebrations, not during spring, during power outages, long drives home, the quiet after arguments, the terrible hour where loneliness stops sounding poetic and starts sounding structural. The butterfly once asked why I envied her wings, or why I never envied her wings. I almost told her that envy belongs to those who still believe visibility is power. Instead, I asked whether she had ever noticed how people speak about butterflies from memory, but speak about fireflies in whispers, as though afraid the night might overhear them glow. She did not answer immediately. Above us, the garden was dimming into evening, flowers folding inward, daylight loosening its grip from her wings. Then, for the first time, the butterfly looked frightened, not of the dark, of becoming invisible inside it. I understood that fear, instinctively, I had simply learned earlier how to turn invisibility into illumination. End poem.
Oh boy, that's a good one. I really like the way that played because of the beauty of a butterfly is missed at night. In the darkness, a butterfly is not beautiful. You can't even see it. But a firefly, you do see in the darkness. And it sounds like, you know, the representation is of a firefly that all the butterflies just kind of overlooked and thought, who cares? It's just a firefly. But then when the lights go out and it gets dark, the firefly's spectacular and the butterfly's nothing. Absolutely nothing, because you can't see them. I've never seen a butterfly at night. Have you? That's the funny thing. So in the darkness, but there's a lot to unpack here that we can't really get too deep into in how long we spend evaluating them. But this one by Rain, and we haven't read anything really from anybody in a while, Zach, on air,
Mm-hmm.
but it had been a while since we had read Rain too, and she brought some heavy stuff. It was definitely beautiful, and it's about the acceptance of the darkness, I think, and how she feels like she's a part of it and it's a part of her. That was a lesson that it took me a long time to learn too. I didn't realize, Zach, I early on in all poetry, I beat to death the darkness and the light, the contrast in the two from all different directions. And I'm sure I'm not done, going
Same.
through all that stuff, because it's such a beautiful contrast. And one is heightened by the other, not negated. It's heightened by the other. And that's the thing that, I think Rain's coming to here, is accepting the darkness just as much as the light. And that's beautiful. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said about the darkness and the light. And also I like how like how the speaker is kind of equating herself to being kind of like a firefly, or like a butterfly or a firefly who adapts different characteristics at night, essentially, much like a firefly does, and blooms differently. In a sense, like becoming like having those nocturnal sort of like nocturnal qualities, maybe behaving differently at night than perhaps daytime. So I kind of like really there's something beautiful about that, like this like sort of equating that oneself to nature in that way. Um, and like existing. I think my favorite stanza would be like not like looking for creatures like me, like not during celebrations, not during spring, but during power outages, long drives home, the quiet after arguments. So there's such a contrast like between those elements there that I really enjoyed. Like where this speaker chooses to exist, where she chooses not to exist, and she's very sure of herself that way. Um, and I just thought that was a really cool way to like kind of describe oneself in a sense, in their individuality. Maybe like yeah, I think that's what I got from it. I thought it was really cool, illuminating for sure.
Definitely illuminating, Zach. Well said. I appreciate a lot about this poem, the light and the
Yeah.
dark contrast and the nature of it and the acceptance and the understanding. So like you can read this piece and you can understand that this is somebody that's going through some things, that is thinking about the light and the dark, and that is a track you and I both enjoy. So this is right up our alley, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
absolutely.
well written, and it's nice to see poems from Rain again.
It
So
is.
let's see, Zach, what do we have next?
Next up is Yumpy's piece, and that's your.
Okay, I'm going to give this a read, and I'm going to say Yumpy had been MIA for a period of time. We're glad to have him back and ready to read some of his work too. This is titled Rain Upon Skin by Yumpy. Rain upon skin. Rain slides down the slope of my shoulders. Cool silk threads, soft as breath on skin, quick as a gasp. It taps gently like a song's rhythm on my collarbones. A syncopated drum roll played on moist skin, each drop a note slightly off key, struck in slow minor chords. I stand still, barefoot on a glistening street, feeling rain gather on the tops of my feet. Cool pinpricks tickling veins, cold streams trickling between each toe, like secrets sliding across skin, curling into the spaces between my fingers and tracing the curve behind my ear, where thunder whispers its desire. Some drops land like tender kisses, some sting like wind-blown sand. 100 tiny rivers etch their way down my spine. My hair grows heavy, a curtain of water, weighing secrets I've carried too long. The rain signs freedom in a hymn. I'm sorry, the rain sings freedom in a hymn of delicate rhyme, a whispered pulse of something divine. It tastes of metal, green leaves drenched, wet stones caressed. It leaves its scent upon the earth, sky split open, pouring out promises. Inside the storm, my skin is new. I'm raw, alive, unleashed. And I want the rain to keep falling, to keep playing its tender song along my cheeks, trailing down my throat, tracing truths I didn't know I'd longed for. End poem. Zach, do you care to read the author's notes on this one?
Oh, sure thing. This poem began as a whisper in a storm, part memory, part sensation. The rain can be a confessional, a lover, a threshold. Each drop carries something ancient, cleansing, and quietly wild. I wrote this poem to explore that space where the sky weeps, the body listens, and the soul quietly says yes. Oh, I wanted the reader to feel the rain not just as an image, but as a presence, to let the rhythm of the words activate the senses, so each word might land like a raindrop, cool, intimate, alive against the skin. More than anything, I hope to offer the experience of standing barefoot in the storm, soaked, raw, and fully present. May you find parts of yourself in the falling rain. Yeah, I really enjoyed this piece. I was struck by how pleasant it was. It was refreshing. There's like a rhythm and a flow to it. Like each word kind of individually landing like a bit of rain, like the author's note said. And there's also just like this all-encompassing feeling of being drenched or covered. And I like the way the speaker plays with like coolness, temperature. Um, and I also like how rain is being equated to secrets and holding secrets and like being overflowing with secrets. I just like that too. That kind of metaphor. And it's very visceral too. Like despite like something like rain, like in a sense being covered that way is being raw, kind of primal in a way, like outside, like kind of one being one with nature. And I really enjoyed that too, that sense of oneness.
I love the nature to this piece, the way that is equated throughout the piece. But the author's notes, and I'm so glad you read those, Zach, because honestly, Yumpy, I'm going to say out loud, for me, you accomplished every goal you had in your author's notes. The feel of the rain. And it was like I was there and feeling the raindrops, but the way he described them and never really it, like they're all not, he didn't describe the rainstorm as being refreshing or soul fulfilling or anything like that. He's describing individual raindrops and how those individual raindrops are interacting with him and how they're making him feel. Well, the subject, so I say him, but the subject of the piece. But it has this beautiful feel to it that is very in that moment. It took me into that moment that he's describing. So that's what I appreciate about this, and the individual detail of each raindrop, how, when he keys in on one raindrop, how it run down his throat. I know exactly what he's talking about. It's not a heavy rainstorm. There's nothing sad, nothing depressing about it. This is a general observation of how the rain feels on your skin and how there is those emotions that are attached to it as it's running down. And it's very, very beautiful and very, very in a moment. I love that. Like it is a definite moment of time that he is describing, that 20 seconds, 30 seconds, however long you're standing in the rain or getting wet or whatever. But he's appreciating all of the feelings and emotion that are coming along with it and sharing it with us. And I really, really love that. It's a great piece. Welcome back, Yuppie. You come back with a real, real serious poem there that we thoroughly enjoy. And we'll say again, Zach, all of our writers in our group are spectacular and they never disappoint us, but it's a privilege, and we always need to make sure and say, we appreciate the privilege of being able to read beautiful poetry like this.
Absolutely.
We ready for the next one?
Sure. I think is that my read? Yeah, it is my read, I think.
Hey, good thing, Zach. We did
is
it
my read
correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good. As rusty as we are, we're staying on cue, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have Osama Chiba's piece, and that's
beautiful
The Wind
artwork.
Of Change. Oh yeah, that's a cool piece. Or looking artwork, right? As I sail soft currents, I'm blown by a change of winds. Attracted within magnetic fields, my being disintegrates, torn between east and west. Shaken to the core, I attempt to recollect broken pieces of my estranged self, scattered in each corner of the world. Seeds of my cells take root, divide into one. This madness has become my sanity, my every sense. Storms of intense emotions mirror my true image. Drifted on high and low tides, in love or in loneliness, I stretch my hands reaching out. End poem.
Great read, Zach. I'm going to read Estima's author's notes real quick. First, I'm going to comment on that artwork. It is a very simple artwork, but it's beautiful. It's got really reds and grays and blacks and whites. It's all it is, but it's beautiful. There's like umbrellas floating in the wind. It looks like from a cliff with somebody looking out at a female body in a flowing dress. It's absolutely gorgeous in its simplicity. So number one, it says, in contest by Raj Kumar, love poems of Khalil Gibran. Quote prompt, she chose 7. Enter a poem that has won all trophies, or if you have 100 of each, my poem won 11 gold, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is just the qualifications to get into what contest it was written in. So I suppose I'll get to my evaluation of it. I loved the way this opened. As I sail soft currents, meaning floating through life and things that are changing, not abrupt, not horrible, not ghastly. She's not going, oh Lord, this is horrible. She's saying things have changed, things are happening, and there is this willingness to go along with it at this point in life, because it will happen either way. So there's no sense in fighting it. You just kind of go with it, but you struggle with it before, and then you gain this acceptance of all the changes that are coming your way and what you can't control. This seeds of my cells take root, divided into one. This madness has become my sanity, my every sense. So that stands to me, means that's the acceptance of it, the inevitability of the change that you can't control, and all these things that it could break you down, could destroy you, or if it could engage you into a new perspective where you feel like the world is a wonderful place that you didn't know these things about. That's kind of what I got out of this. But there's really a lot to unpack in this fairly short piece. What were your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this piece. I thought this piece was about almost like a torn sense of identity, or like maybe home, not knowing like where that is, like restlessness of being scattered to the four winds, almost in a literal sense, because the speaker doesn't know exactly. I think like to be like scattered that way, like it'd be hard to I'd be imagined to find like one's home or like sense of place or being like belonging, essentially. um and there's a sense of real change being enacted, and whether or not that speaker uh is accepting that change, I think they're beginning to. um but it's definitely a hard process because of these intense like emotions that are very much like a formative sort of way to feel. I bet they're really shifting the landscape, so to speak. And in a sense, I like the last stanza the best, because that is that acceptance is essentially, there's like a leap of faith at the end. I think like in like almost reaching out into the unknown in a literal sense. Um, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a great expressive piece. I enjoyed the heck out of it too, Zach. What do we got next?
Next up, we have Noel Nightshade's piece, and that's your read.
It's titled Inanna's. I'm sorry, I missed it. Missed a vowel there. Inanna's Attack, Act 2 by Noel Nightshade. Hungry cuckoos nest in her tree, flapping wings, marble eyes, feeding on her weakness. Lilith slithers nearer and nearer. Venomous stares dart towards a sleeping Inanna, her body trembling in fright. Sickly sounds hypnotize. Half awake, she hears each hex, including the darkest night. She calls to her angels. And a knight arrives in a few days' time, silver armored, riding on a white horse, carrying a blessed sword. In one swift motion, he cuts the root of the tree. As it falls, Lilith and the cuckoos fly away. And away with the touts, no longer able to hide in the treetops with Inanna. A retrograding kingdom remains far in the stars, disappearing behind the dark side of the moon, while she looks up at the sky, resting on her earthly throne, next to the warrior, stealing glances at the mark venomous jaws left, a crimson ring. Sore to the touch, still weakening her spirit, but the sound of the drumbeat grows louder, and she calls again for assistance, looking again at the dark side of the moon. End poem. What are your thoughts on that one, Zach?
Oh, I thought this was a cool piece. Definitely some darkness, especially at like the first stanza. I thought was pretty dark. How it's introduced and how it's like this horrific narration and almost like a creepy kind of like voyeurism before the sleeping protagonist is introduced. And I like the way that she's kind of brought to life in a sense, like throughout the night. And she's kind of she kind of like does the summoning spell when the night comes. And I know the night, just because the night's not there to save her though, because the night doesn't like, despite that the night does what he does, it cuts the treetops. I feel like there's still the speaker's still like not like, her conflict is still yet to be alleviated, because she's still calling for assistance. But despite their spirit weakening, the drum beat grows louder. So that's still kind of like almost kind of a resilience in a way that kind of brings to mind. Like she's still looking at the dark side of the moon for assistance. And I think the drum beat growing louder is a little bit of a hopeful thing and not like an ominous thing, which I liked.
I felt the same way, Zach. That drum beat was more of a hopeful thing than a ominous, ending. But this is dark. Make no mistake.
Mm.
There's no light to it. She hit the switch right from the beginning, turned the lights out. That's where we stayed, and I like that because there's nothing wrong with a bunch of darkness, but then hinted at some light at the end. It's not ominous. It's not foreboding necessarily. She's looking for help, but she's looking for help from what? Darkness,
Hmm.
which is kind of fun. You think about that. So is the next part of this going to be even darker? This is act 2. Is there an act 3? So act 1, I was kind of curious of, and I may go back and research that and read it on my own. But Noelle did a fantastic job turning the lights out and keeping them out through this and dragging us through a string. And I love the references of cuckoos.
Mm-hmm.
I do, because that's a horrible bird. It's a horrible, dumb,
so annoying.
dumb bird that just squawks and goes on. And if I'm not mistaken, they're horrible parents too. And they are put in other nests and they throw the other birds out, the other baby birds, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure 100%, but I think so. But anyway, it's fascinating that she used cuckoos there, and that's why I think she did, was because they're baby killers. They really are. They're in the nest knocking out other birds and pretending to be them so their moms will feed them. They're parasites, basically. Anyway, kind of fascinating. Unless I got that wrong, I'm mistaken on that, which is quite possible. But that's what I thought whenever I read it, was, oh, cuckoos. That's a dark bird that doesn't appear dark. Anyway, I think she did a fantastic job all the way through this with her descriptions and the feeling of darkness that just kind of wrapped around you and stayed around you. Let's see. I think, what do we got next, Zach? It's your turn to read.
Next up, we have Autumn Hope 26's piece, and that's More of Your Love. And this is a song.
We're going to go darkness to love.
Yeah, right. Like, flipping it. I guess so. I can't tell you how many times I prayed to find a love so good like you. At last, it finally came true. I've been thinking of what I could do with you. When I opened up my heart and hold you inside my arms, you make me go crazy every time I see your face. Sometimes when I'm alone, I call you up to fill the empty space. Never in my grandest dreams. You'd be here beside me. You know I want more of your love, and up above, we're more than friends. That's what I tell myself. When I saw you with someone else, you kicked my guilt below the belt. When you're searching and you're blinding your life through, whenever you're feeling sad, I'll be the best you never had. End poem.
Very interesting that Autumn Hope 26, Autumn Hope, has written this as a song because it has some depth to it. And I'm kind of curious if he's going to move forward and, run it through Suno or actually produce it. He may be a musician. I don't actually know, honestly. But Autumn Hope has always had this very positive outlook of things. And I think this holds true. I enjoy reading his work whenever we read it because it just feels good. and I felt kind of good about this, but then when it gets to the backside, that's what I tell myself when I saw you with someone else, because I was happy and then I was like, oh, that's not good. There was love in the beginning, and then it's like, not good. Wait a minute, turned us on our head there, and it could make a very, very interesting song because it turns like that. Hopefully something happens with it, and we can hear it in song, even if it's a Suno track that we can't play. I can listen to it and see what is intent of mood and stuff like that, because I'm getting a darkness and a sadness from this that I don't normally get from Autumn Hope towards the end. But what are your thoughts, Zach?
I like this one. It reminds me uh, of like kind of like an ideal love that sours in a way, and it kind of like the way it sort of sort of optimistic at first reminds me of like a Buddy Holly or a Beatles tune, like one of the older, like I mean one of the earlier, not so much the later stuff, but more like the earlier stuff, and I mean that in a good way, and sort of like there's like that sad turn towards the second back half that's that kind of stands out too, in the sense that the um it's kind of upsetting, but I think I got the feeling that the speaker nonetheless is the kind of person that could love again. It's more of their loss than the speakers. That's what I got from it. There's still like a positive outlook despite that, despite some of those more negative feelings towards the back end, but I still really appreciated it. It was a good piece.
It did travel. It did. Yeah. And I know what you're saying. I was thinking the whole time, like you said, you referenced the early Beatles and stuff like that era of music that was all positive. It was popish and all that, and it didn't really have a bunch of depth to it. And then it moved. So this kind of covers both eras, or all the eras of like the Beatles, where they first come in and they were like, "We love you. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then, Strawberry Fields
like
Forever.
Yesterday.
Yeah, stuff like that. It just gets heavy, and all of a sudden, and then what happens after that is the Beatles had started, and then they hit that midpoint, and they kind of started running out of steam, and then they explored other things, and then it had to end.
I was not expecting it.
Good, Zach. That's the point. I had to get you. I had to remind you.
You had to work that time, but not too hard, I hope.
I really did. I kept blabbering on and on and on, trying to get to the end, and I was like, "Oh boy, am I going to be able to get to the end?" So we've done it, Zach. This has been season 2, episode 1. We actually did it. So I'm going to go over some other things as we walk out here with our goodbye. Where can everybody find us, Zach? I'm going to read it. You can find us. We're a group of poets on all poetry at our group site, the Quill and Parchment Society, correct?
On YouTube and the website. Right.
And then we now have a YouTube channel, which is new to us this season. Our YouTube channel is the Reading List by the Quill and Parchment Society. And then we also have a website, the Quill and Parchment Society.riverside.com. That's where our group newsletter will be. That's where every episode will be of this podcast. And season 1 is archived there as well, available for all your listening pleasures. Everybody who wants to listen, we ask you, if you do, go to YouTube, please like and subscribe to us, please. And we're not trying to make any money or anything like that. We just want to know that people are listening. That's what we want. And we also do this for our own joy and for our group. And we love sharing their poetry with everybody else. Anything else, Zach, you got to add?
Not at all, man. It's a good time all around.
Hey, we got back on it now. I'm not exactly sure when we're going to do the next show, whether we're going to do it every other week, because we've still got a lot of learning to do on this platform, but we've got to the point where we can produce a show like we want to produce it, and we'll see where we grow to and expand from here. As always, thank you, Zach. I appreciate having you hosting with